important for us all to be connected, because again, that way we can find out about who's doing what and how we can work together to do that. And that's, so hopefully you'll all get involved with the Pioneer Valley Sustainability Network. Yes.
I recently went to the Greenfield Winter's Farmers Market, and
Uh-huh.
it was incredibly busy and happy, and yeah, I recently, well,
Yeah.
and the energy there was so high, and I noticed that there was only one this winter. I mean, there might have been a couple other ones, but is there any work being done on cultivating more year-round local food supply?
Daniel.
Yeah, I mean, there's more and more farmers that are growing crops in hoop houses and greenhouses. People are getting really excited about some of the winter markets. I'm seeing them pop up more and more. I think there's a lot of people that would like to, build more indoor market structures too. I think we're at the very beginning of seeing lots and lots of things coming out. I've heard great things about the Greenfield market as well. I think they'll try and do many more days next season.
Can I add one thing to that? There's a group right now called PV Grows. It was mentioned in Catherine's.
Yeah.
Yeah, PV Grows. I don't think this is actually on, but they
It's
are.
mostly for the camera, because they videotape us.
Well, they are looking into a project of freezing local food so that it would be available in local markets and supermarkets. So that's a pretty big, important project.
Yeah, and again, PV Grows has grown out of a lot of, as I mentioned, there's a lot of this agricultural work happening thanks to community-involved sustaining ag that's been around for 15 or 20 years, the Local Hero campaign. And just like looking at gaps, if we want to be sustainable, let's assume that, we have run out of oil and we're going to face major changes with climate, and we have to transition to clean, safe, sustainable energy, and we can't be shipping our food from around the world. And we actually have to grow stuff here. There's lots of efforts now looking at doing that locally, and PV Grows is bringing all the different pieces together to say, what are the gaps in terms of how much could we grow here, where's it going, what's coming in, adding value so that we can package stuff, getting, maybe merging transit from people growing food in the hill towns, and then the people want to bring the food in, but they also want to come in for jobs. There's all these opportunities for collaboration, which again, that hopefully you all, creative ideas, you can share them with each other and with us so that we can take advantage of those. And that livability initiative, that's a regional sustainability planning initiative that will be like millions of dollars to the valley to how we can actually be a sustainable region.
I wonder if it strikes you all that it may be easier for a city like Holyoke that's in such a decrepit condition as it is, that those might be just the types of cities that we can have the biggest impact on, that the cities they're dying from their old platforms of mills and the old oil platforms, that those are the exact types of cities that might really catch on and make the transition quicker than sort of these kind of more affluent, more comfortable cities that don't have that kind of immediate need to change, that gumption. And do you guys feel that same way?
I mean, I think that's the kind of positive, kind of growing from assets type of attitude that we're trying to also bring to bear. I think that Holyoke also and cities like Holyoke also have enormous challenges that some more affluent cities don't have. But I think it's got to come from all different points.
And in the valley, we have success stories, places like Northampton and Amherst that are rich communities that have been thinking about this, being politically correct, doing all this stuff for decades. And then we have, you heard from Holyoke and Springfield, places that are popping but it's not like they just popped out of the blue. I mean, Daniel's been there for 13 and 14 years. I mean, all this groundwork has been laid for a long time.
I think like in a place like Holyoke particularly, where you have the mill buildings, many of them that are along the canals running on the water from the canals. So, it's kind of model for sustainability, 100 years ago, but a lot of those, some of them are still used by Holyoke Gas and Electric, but I think a lot of development that's going to happen there is looking at that and seeing that as one of those positive things that could, lead to that transformation.
I wonder what we're going to do with all of these old mill towns, all the buildings. I mean, if you go through Athol, if you go through Orange,
Right.
that
Foundation and other groups are looking at that, and there's a John Mullen, who, you know, was one of the folks here at UMass who got funding for the Springfield Design Center, has been doing studies of mill revitalization for many years, and now he'd done the whole Blackstone Valley, and now he's turning his attention more to Western Mass. So that is happening in a lot of places.
But the one thing I want to just add to that is that, you know, I think as you begin to look at what can transform those buildings, you have to kind of see it in that very holistic way of dealing with the social inequities that exist. So if it just becomes another form of gentrification as a solution to the problems of the environmental and the economic without really addressing that social one, it's not a sustainable solution.
Well, I think that, you know, just to reply a little bit, I think that community agriculture is one of the great things, to get people out there growing their food together, eating dinner together, talking about what it means to be sustainable, and actually sharing that time and kind of quantum energy together, that's got to be the basis for it. That's how we really build community.
I think one of the interesting things about communities like Holyoke and Springfield is that as there's more maneuvering room. I think you've hit on something. There is some more maneuvering room because some of the values are down. You can get a hold of land. A vacant lot is not built on. You may be able to use it for community gardens because it's not Manhattan or whatever. And in Philadelphia, I've heard, now I don't know if they're starting to do this for real, but I've seen suggestions of it using rooftops of some of the old factory buildings to do greenhouse production and maybe doing aquaculture inside the buildings and so forth. So we can, I know we've looked at a lot of mill buildings for housing potential, and there are challenges. There are a lot of challenges with the old mill buildings. There frequently are environmental issues at the buildings. They're difficult to get new manufacturers to go into because they like a single level, no elevator, you know, easy truck access, and our urban mill buildings are not set up for that. But I suspect a lot of them will get exploited for a variety of uses, and others will just be demolished, and you know we'll turn them into new spaces. So.
Trust me with it. Are there any other questions, or should we wrap up? Well, I want to thank you all for coming. It was really interesting and makes you pause, go back to your own communities. At least it does mine, with all its little, you know, driveways into its private little isolation in suburbia. So anyway, thank you very much for all of you for coming and braving the weather, and I hope you'll come to the following lectures. Thank you.
Hi, I used to actually appear on a project in KC, but